Glider 7-1 Launch and Recovery Procedures and Flight Maneuvers. Ground Launch Takeoff Procedures. When ground launching a glider, it's super important to rely on a center of gravity towhook equipped with an automatic back release feature. This is a critical safety measure. If, for some reason, the pilot can't release the towline during the launch, this feature kicks in to protect the glider. If that release fails, there's a risk of the glider being pulled down over the launching vehicle or winch. That's why it's a must-do to test this back release feature before every single flight. Safety first, always. Center of gravity hooks. Some gliders, especially those used for training or high performance, solely rely on a center of gravity towhook for ground launch operations. Why? Because these hooks are placed at the glider's center of gravity, which allows the pilot to have better control during the launch without being overly affected by ground forces. Attaching the towline to a nose hook could really mess things up. It might pull the glider down, overloading crucial parts like the horizontal stabilizer and elevator. But there's a trade-off here too. Depending on the design, the center of gravity hook might not have enough movement to fully release the aerotowline under pressure. Picture this. If the hook only swings about 90 degrees down, the towline might stay hooked until there's slack, letting it fall off. Oh, and these hooks can be located in different spots, like ahead of the landing gear, in the landing gear well, or using a bracket on the fuselage near the cockpit. Now, if the center of gravity hook is in the landing gear well, retracting the gear during the tow messes with the towline. Even if there's a nose hook, retracting the gear during the tow isn't a good idea until the glider is safely airborne and there's no need for an emergency return. Leaving the gear down buys the pilot more time to figure out the best landing options. Using a center of gravity hook can also make crosswind takeoffs tougher because the glider might easily turn into the wind. And if the center of gravity is close to the back limit, there's a risk of kiting during takeoff, which is seriously dangerous for the towplane during an aerotow. Signals. Pre-launch signals, winch, automobile. Visual signals before a ground launch, whether using a winch or an automobile, are vital for communication among the glider pilot, wing runner, safety officer, and launch crew. These signals are necessary because during a ground launch, the glider and the launch vehicle might be quite far apart. For instance, when using an automobile, they could be around 1,000 feet apart, and with a winch, the distance could stretch to 4,000 feet or more. That's a considerable gap. But sometimes, when there's complex information that needs to be conveyed over these vast distances, they might also use direct voice communications between crew members. They can do this using hardwired ground telephones, two-way radios, or wireless phones. This not only helps prevent premature launches but also allows for an immediate stop if anything unsafe comes up. Here's an important safety rule. The towline should never be attached to the glider until the crew is all on board and ready for the launch. In-flight communication signals for ground launches. During ground launches, since the duration is typically short, the in-flight signals are quite limited. The main signals are directed to the winch operator or the driver of the ground vehicle, specifically to communicate instructions to increase or decrease speed. This helps maintain control and coordination between the glider in flight and the operator or driver on the ground. They're crucial for ensuring a smooth and safe launch, allowing adjustments to be made as needed during the brief flight phase. Optimal tow speeds for ground launches. Maintaining the appropriate tow speed during a ground launch is pivotal for a safe and successful takeoff. Figure 7.16 illustrates the impact of different tow speeds on various takeoff profiles, emphasizing the importance of adhering to the correct speed range. Every glider certified for ground launch operations features a placarded maximum ground launch tow speed. Typically, this speed remains consistent whether launching via automobile or winch. To ensure the glider's structural integrity during the ground tow, it's crucial for the pilot to fly within or below this specified speed limit throughout the launch. Automobile launch procedures and winch operations. When it comes to launching a glider using an automobile, it's become pretty rare these days. Before any launch, both the glider pilot and the vehicle driver need to be on the same page about the ground speeds they'll use. They've got to crunch some numbers beforehand, considering stuff like the surface wind speed, how much faster the glider picks up speed during launch, and the wind change as they climb. It's crucial to add a safety margin to make sure they don't exceed the maximum safe vehicle ground tow speed. If there's a crosswind, they should position the glider a bit downwind of the takeoff direction and angle it into the wind. That helps keep control in check until the glider hits a decent airspeed. Oh, and because gliders can take their sweet time to speed up when towed by a car, they should lay out the towline so the glider catches enough headwind to get that speed needed for control. Here's an example. Let's say the max tow speed is 75 miles per hour. Subtract surface winds, 10 miles per hour, airspeed gain during climb, 5 miles per hour, estimated climb wind change, 5 miles per hour, and add a 5 miles per hour safety margin. That leaves you with a tow speed of 50 miles per hour. Now, onto winch launches. The winch operator hits full power smoothly until the glider gets to about 30 degrees above the horizon. From there, they gradually ease off the power until the glider hits roughly a 60-degree angle, needing about 20% power. By the time the glider's at a 70-degree angle, the operator cuts power to idle. The operator's eyes stay glued on the glider, ready to adjust speed if the pilot signals during the climb. If you click like and subscribe and leave a comment, we will provide a coupon for a free PDF download, one of 9 ebooks. However, each individual can only download up to 1 out of 9 ebooks for free.